Hello, everyone. I'm Suzanne Taylor King, life and business coach for entrepreneurs, and we are here for the Idea Lab's weekly growth intentions call. This call is open to everyone. If you have somebody you think would benefit from these conversations, by all means, invite them. My community, the Idea Lab, I just recently took it off social media. If you need that link, I'll drop it in the comments and you can join. We focus each week on some different book or personal development topic. And this week, we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, digital minimalism. And it's perfect that we're doing it digitally. Haha. Isn't that fun? So first, let's go around the room and just do your 30-second who you are, what you do, and what you're looking forward to gaining from these conversations. I'm going to have Dave Summers go first.
Okay, it's a whole lot more fun if I unmute. I'm Dave. I'm an independent digital media producer. I've been an independent now for about 2.5 years. About that time, I moved to Eastern Tennessee, but I don't have any local clients. All of them are 100% virtual. I met Suzanne via some of my early independent efforts. I push out a weekly video blog, as well as some other things I do on LinkedIn. And I've got a really strong, steady client base, a couple of associations that are retainer-based clients, and an awful lot of project work. And I guess the way I think about what I do is I help people show up better online, either through digital video, digital audio, on-demand products, or live web events. That's me.
Awesome. Well, welcome. It's great to have you. And I will say, follow Dave on LinkedIn. He's got some incredible content and he's got great taste in 80s music. So, well, music in general, but I'm partial to the 80s piece. So, David George Brooke.
Thank you, Suzanne Taylor King. David George Brooke, AKA That Gratitude Guy. I live out in Seattle. I am primarily a speaker, coach, and author. And my main focus is on speaking to groups. I try to do 2 or 3 main keynotes a month. And met Suzanne through another mastermind that she and I were in. And the thing that I think about so much on these calls that I get so much from is just connecting with like-minded people. I bet you I've used the word like-minded more in the last 2 or 3 years than I maybe have in my entire life combined, because I just realized in the old retail business I used to be in, I used to manage stores for Nordstrom and for Lowe's Home Improvement. And you just met a lot of people that, quite frankly, were not that inspiring. And so it's just really exciting to me. I'm always taking notes and, oh, I got to meet that person. This person's great. So thank you for putting this community together, Miss Suzanne Taylor King. It's just been fantastic for me.
You're welcome. And please, everyone, put your contact information in the chat, your LinkedIn profile. That would be awesome. And that way you guys can save the chat and connect with each other on social media as well, even though we're talking about digital detoxing today. Jim Swan, welcome. I can't hear you. You sound like a robot.
Is that any better, Suzanne?
Oh, that's much better.
Okay, we'll go with that. I must be having a problem with my headset. Apologies for the technical difficulties. Imagine that happening in the digital world, right? Jim Swan here. I live and work on the coast of Maine. I'm halfway between Portland and Bar Harbor. I've been here for about 10 years. I coach primarily CEOs, executives, and entrepreneurs. Primarily, the focus of my coaching is helping people move through the pain and the frustration of setbacks and failures and on to the next great chapter of their life. And what am I looking for here? I'm looking to hang out with cool and smart people. I mean, that's kind of what I'm about these days.
Yeah.
I met Suzanne through another mutual friend on LinkedIn, and we kind of are starting to hang out in some of the same areas, which I'm quite honored to.
Yeah.
It's just good to be here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Miss Roberta.
Hi, everyone. I'm Roberta Wellman, and I am a non-toxic living specialist. And I help people with cancer, Alzheimer's, autism, and I give them a solution on how they can get better. And I met Suzanne about 2 or 3 years ago through a mutual friend, and I've been coaching with her and growing my business ever since. So welcome and get to know everybody.
Welcome, Roberta. And I will say you're so inspiring starting a new and different business in retirement. So I just want to say that inspires me to have clients like you. So thank you for being here.
And I need to leave like 12:30 to go to another appointment. So
okay.
Thank you.
Quite all right. All right, Miss Lisa.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Prozo. I have an alpaca farm business, Andy and Dawn alpacas. I sell animals for seed stock to other farms. I sell retail products of alpaca items, manure, other things that just come directly off the farm. I noticed Suzanne when I had tuned into an item with Machen McDonald, and noticed her upright, bright spirit, and I wanted to work more one-on-one versus with Suzanne versus in a group. And so I also went online and checked her out a little bit at some of her listings, and one of them, I don't know if it was a blog or just an interview with David. I like the name, that gratitude guy as well. And David drew out a whole great personality and attitude from Suzanne that even further wanted me to work with her. So thank you, David, for that.
And I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Oh my gosh, that was you were researched first. I'm playing with you a little bit, but so what I'm looking for in this group is marketing ways to bring in more money. I'm really, really great with taking care of animals and cleaning up after them and doing the veterinary work with them. But the marketing, as Suzanne knows, is where I'm just not quite a kindergartner anymore, but coming up beyond that. So that's, and the positive aspect too, which is something that is important for me to have. And I guess I could talk too much, so that's enough. There we go.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Well, today's discussion is really going to fuel the foundational pieces of you being more present online. And this conversation will really benefit everybody in the room, no matter what stage you are in the online world, whether you're just starting or whether you're a seasoned veteran and you're there all the time. So doesn't matter. Welcome. All right, Miss Hillary, pretty in pink as always.
Yay. I do have an obsession with pink, I do admit. I'm Hillary Spivak, independent consultant for Arbonne, helping people with sustainable, healthy living by being good to yourself and the planet. And this is by bringing more life, less stress, and more life to your living. I never knew that a business could do that. I was like, that's a crazy business. And here I am, such a proponent of it. And it's all because of networking and the people that I met that I'm in this business. And meeting Suzanne through networking has been fabulous. So I love being with good people. I know someone else had said that, and just meeting with good people and helping people to grow their businesses as well.
Love it. Well, thanks for being here. And a new acquaintance of mine, Nancy and I just met in the comments of someone else's post on LinkedIn. So there's great power in social media. Welcome, Nancy. Tell us about you.
Yes, our relationship is less than 24 hours old. So we're brand spanking new and
Brand new. Way to jump in. Congratulations on
I
that.
had no clue what this program was. I was expecting to listen and learn and not do some networking, but hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here. I do have an appointment, and so I think I'll change to my phone and listen in a quick moment. However, I am a sales psychologist. I take what's in plain sight, how people dress and talk and behave, and I give you insight into how people make buying decisions so you can increase sales. And I use digital marketing. That's how Suzanne and I met. And if you're wondering about hats, entrepreneurs wear many hats. And the marketing and sales hat is probably the one they don't like so much. So anyway, that is my shtick. And I had no clue what to expect. So Suzanne, thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I will say, after this, Nancy, I'll make sure you have the link to join my community platform, and you'll get the recording of this call as well. You'll also get the notes for the books there too. Charlie, last but forever great in my mind.
Thank you. That's why I'm here, because she praises me. Jim Rohn said,
that's all it takes. That's all it takes.
Just a
All
smile,
right.
woman, just a smile.
All right.
Jim Rohn said something about, you are the sum total of the 5 people you hang out with, or something to that particular effect. So I come to meetings where Suzanne is because they're going to be confident, great people there. They're going to, I not only can learn from, but maybe I can offer some insights and maybe help them. I'm about helping people. Everybody on this call is lucky enough that we've chosen work that enables us to solve specific client problems, and then we can make a difference. That's very fulfilling. So what I try to do is help people figure out what's next. There have been many times in your career where you've said, I wonder what's next. I help people at that inflection point figure out what's next, not to bounce backward, but to bounce forward, to go up, not down. And I help them figure out how to get it, the strategy and tactics to do it, and finally, how to keep it, how to build it, how to become a subject matter expert in that particular area. So you may know somebody that's struggling with that question right now. You all want to help them, but I'm a specialist in that area. I'll make you look really good with your referral. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Charlie. All
My
right,
pleasure.
let's jump into the meat of today. These 2 books, Digital Minimalism and Deep Work by Cal Newport, are so closely related in my mind. I read Deep Work first and then Digital Minimalism. I prefer to give it to clients in the opposite order, Digital Minimalism, to embrace some of those, not all. You don't have to live in a world without email or a computer like Cal does, but you can embrace some of the things. Some is better than them all, and we're going to go over those. And I believe when you embrace some of those things, deep work, which is totally necessary for each and every one of us in our businesses, that deep, undistracted time to focus on what's important now in your business can only happen if you're not digitally distracted. So let's jump in with my favorite quote from Digital Minimalism first. Our current relationship with technologies of our hyper-connected world is unsustainable and leading us closer to the quiet desperation that Thoreau observed many years ago. But as Thoreau reminds us, the sun rose clear, and we still have the ability to change this state of affairs. To do so, we can't passively allow the wild tangle of tools, entertainments, and constant distractions provided by the internet age to dictate how we spend our time or how we feel. We must indeed take steps to extract the good from these technologies while sidestepping what's bad. We require a philosophy that puts our aspirations and values once again in charge of our daily experience. So What are your that just spoke to me. Like, what are your values about these things? And while stripping away the primal need for dopamine and serotonin and those happy hormones we get from scrolling and seeing a funny cat video, we're also dehumanizing business. And we're taking out that philosophy that prioritizes long-term meaning, relationships, partnerships over short-term satisfaction. A philosophy we could embrace called digital minimalism could change all that. So that's what spoke to me the most from this book. Any comments or insights into that idea? If not, okay. All right. I'm going to go on to.
Now, I just have an overarching thing. One of the most successful football coaches in the world, it lives in Alabama. Every year he gets the cream of the crop that comes in on his football team. In their hometowns, they build memorials to these kids. Everybody buys them dinner and all the girls want to date them. But when they come to Alabama, they're one of 120 superstars on the team. How does this guy get them all to work together so that they have high levels of success? He has 4 words he uses that really brings them all together. And those 4 words is starve, distraction, feed, focus. And it has everything to do with Cal Newport's work. So that's why I bring it in. It's just not about business, it's about life.
Yes, it truly is. And I think life and business are so intertwined, especially for solopreneurs or small business owners. It's so, the line between the two is so blurred. But let's for a second talk about the qualities of digital minimalism. It basically means you use technology to focus what you're doing offline. Maybe you use a small selected number of tools. Maybe you have boundaries on your time spent on social media or time spent scrolling. Or maybe instead of being on every single platform of social media, you concentrate on 1 or 2. And the thing I like about that, it gives me something else. It gives me that time alone, that time, whether it's in nature or journaling. If I was spending all that time on social media to grow my business, I wouldn't have the clarity of that alone time. So let's talk about what boundaries around your social media could do for your alone time, reclaiming a vacation or leisure time. What could that do? How could it make a difference for you?
Free up a lot of your time. I'm looking for a platform right now that will allow me to schedule. So I could schedule something once a week and put that time instead of taking the time every single day. That's what I'm looking for right now, is how to schedule something once for maybe the month or a week.
Okay. And do you want other people to be able to use that link to schedule time with you?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay. Check out Calendly. It's free.
Calendly?
Calendly.
Oh, okay.
And that's a free platform. And that has been, I have it through my website, but that scheduling link, though it does come with some issues that I had with my appointment with Dave last week that apparently I missed. I got the email, but somehow it never linked to my calendar. So I'm going to make that up to Dave in some secret way. But I will say that's cut down the amount of back and forth time that you have to do with someone else to get a time on the calendar, right? So whether it's you using someone else's link or them using yours, doesn't matter. It cuts down on that texting back and forth. Love that,
Great.
Roberta.
Excellent.
Now let's talk about vacations. When's the last time anyone in this room went away for 1 day, 2 days, 7 days without your phone?
Oh,
Anyone? Bueller?
Years ago, 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, I used to go to a hunting camp in Michigan, and there's no cell service. So
Mm.
you would have your phone. Well, I wanted to touch base with my kids. So like every couple of days, you'd like drive up to the top of the hill and you could get a
Mm.
little cell service. So,
Mhm.
and it was interesting. Like, I don't think I could do it for more than 3 days, but it was definitely rejuvenating.
Yeah. I made the commitment right before COVID to my coach at the time, which is where I got introduced to Cal, and got to work with him in the same room, which was amazing. And he said the same question to me. And I committed right on the spot to going on my next vacation, which was a cruise with my husband and my son. This was right before COVID. And I said, I'm going without my phone. And afterwards, I immediately felt sick. I was like, oh God, how am I going to do that? How am I going to do it? But I committed to it. And when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. And on day 3 of that vacation, my then 10-year-old son looked at me and said, aren't you working this vacation? And I said, no, I never work on vacation. He said, yes, you do. You always have your phone in your face. It took him 3 days to notice, but still other people noticed that I was paying more attention to them. So that gift kind of fueled, some more boundaries for me after that vacation. What would that feel like for you guys to go away for 7 days without your phone?
Scary.
Scary.
well, I frequently don't have my phone with me just for the reason during the days, the daytime. If I had my phone with me during vacation, it would most likely only be to connect with my farm sitter. But that was before I got more interested in your programs and such and things that we've been doing. So I can't say that for now. It might be. But knowing that you have boundaries and you're like, well, because you've said that to me, Lisa, I'll get back to you when, and I'll get back to you. Can't do it right now. I'll call you. And I had said something about boundaries a few weeks ago in one of my notes, and you did a thumbs up on me. So that's so I didn't really answer your question, but I came at it a little sideways.
Yeah, you said scary. It might feel a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But let's go the next step further. What happens when you push out of that comfort zone with any boundary, not just digital boundaries, but any boundary that requires you saying no to something? It's going to feel uncomfortable and different. So my challenge for you guys today is to go somewhere or do something today or tomorrow without your phone. And if you can't do that, I ask you to notice how many times you reach for your phone, just unconsciously. Like right now, my phone's within reach. Right now, I'm in a meeting with you, and it's right here by my left hand if I needed it. So what does that look like for you? And do a tally of how many times you reach for your phone without an intention behind the reach. Oh, I need to call someone, or I need to answer this message, or it's ringing, I need to answer it. How many times do you just reach for it mindlessly and take a tally and within the next day or so, reach out to me and say 100 times, 1,000 times, 50 times.
Yeah.
And the awareness that that brings, that made me realize that so many times when I was reaching for it, it was not for any purpose. It was just for what? So I could what? See if somebody needs me? Oh, I'm good. It's going to make me feel good about myself. I don't know. And
Exactly.
the answer in the book is so simple. And it struck me because it's similar to if you're eating unhealthy foods. So if you're eating Oreo cookies all the time, and you go in the kitchen and it's mindless, and you go in and you open the cabinet and there's the Oreos and you eat a couple and you're doing this every day, what's the answer to that? You can become more mindful about the cookies, or you can hide the cookies so it takes that extra step to find them, or you could just not buy them and not have them in the house. So with your phone, make it hard for you to reach for it. So right now it's in reach, right? I bet you every single one of you, your phone's in reach right now, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so what if your phone was in the other room plugged in, or in a purse somewhere? You couldn't reach for it right now, right? So just that little separation can make you more mindful about what you're doing right now. So that's our homework from this call. I always have homework, action steps, all that fun stuff. How many times do you reach for your phone unconsciously? And just notice that number in a day. Second, try putting it out of reach when you're doing something important to you, like deep work time, journaling time, exercise time. I'm guilty of being in full-on exercise mode and answering a message in the middle of a workout. Not anymore. And then third, let's try next time we're having a conversation with someone, whether it's virtual or in person, to have your phone out of sight. Completely out of sight and out of reach. Now, we all know that if my phone rang right now, I wouldn't pick it up, right? Because I'm recording this meeting with you. That would be kind of rude for me to pick up the phone, say, hello, hi, this is Sue. How can I help you? No, I wouldn't do that. But just the act of it ringing and me seeing it ring would distract me from the connection of this conversation, whether it's 6 people or 1 person, doesn't matter. So that's the third thing you're going to try as your own. Hi, Denise, welcome. That's the third thing you're going to try as your little social experiment for yourself. Next time you're having a Zoom call or a real life in-person lunch with a coworker or prospect or just a friend, have your phone not on the table, not in your pocket, not in sight, but completely away from the conversation. And if you're really bold, ask the other person to do the same thing, because believe it or not, their phone could distract you as well. All right, how's that feel?
Suzanne,
Yeah.
I want to raise a question. I'm starting to have more meetings with people in 3D in person, if you will.
Mhm.
And the phones are always on the desk.
Mm-hmm.
And the phones ring. And they look at the phone and they look at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just go ahead, take it, and it disrupts the flow of things.
Yeah.
And if you're in a sales mode, you say, oh crap, what, it just blew everything up, right? Throws you off track. My question is, why goes to I don't know whether I read the book a long time ago, but I'm trying to understand what's the reason that we are so compelled to reach for? What's going on inside our head that causes us to say, I need to pay attention to this? Why can't this wait?
100%. It's the reward that you get from whatever's happening on the phone, whether it's, you know, a like or a heart or a comment or a message or the hope for a sale. Oh, let me check. It's a chemical reaction in the brain. Go ahead, Dave.
I'm sorry, if I could just jump in here. I'm not just inadvertently dumping Amazon links into chat. I promise. There are some other people I've interviewed, authors and conversations I've had in the past that I think are on a similar topic. And I'll call out when this gets back to what Charlie's question was. The top one on the link I sent is by a gentleman named, I think it's Nair Idol. Anyhow,
oh yes,
the name of his book is called Indistractable: Control Your Attention. And he does this wonderful, right at the front of the book, he explains basically what's going on, you know, that kind of thing. And it's exactly what Suzanne said. And it's the same type of weird logic that goes into why does food packaging look the way it does, or why do, you know, Las Vegas casinos look the way they do, or, you know, why do there have to be explosions in every Netflix movie you watch? You know what I mean? It's definitely that dopamine hit. It's the illusion that we're being rewarded for something. Anyhow, sorry, that's my 2 cents.
No, that's wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you.
Put the link to that book in there, Dave, will you?
I did. It's in the chat. It's the first. I sent 3 of them. Sorry about that. It's the first one, Indistractable.
Thank you.
Yep.
May I add, it just occurred to me, David, when you were just commenting and Suzanne was answering, that it's the reward, it's the dopamine, it's the that it allows you to allow yourself to be distracted. So perhaps redefine the reward, having the reward coming from the meeting, the people that you are actually talking with. And then you redefine the phone call as an intrusion. Or that into that reward that you are experiencing and benefiting from.
I think on Nair in that book, it does a similar type of exercise. And another book I have listed there, Distracted, by Maggie Jackson, who's a fantastic person, fantastic author. She has one whole chapter on being a grandparent. You know what I mean? In the new millennium and stuff like that. And it's dealing with grandchildren, you know, when they're so distracted by screens and games and stuff like that. But the other thing is the deck is stacked against you. I mean, these technology manufacturers, these social media sites, these Netflix production people, whatever, it's all stacked against you. And what they're counting on is your attention span getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, you know, and everything becomes a candy bar. You know what I mean? Everything becomes an explosion. You know what I mean?
The nerve of them for thinking so small of us.
What the heck?
The nerve.
But there are a lot of people, and actually the other book I linked to, The Shallows, which is an amazing book, Nick Carr, he talks about there are a lot of people who used to be able to read novels and really long books, and they used to love them. And I don't know about you, but I try to read a real book as much as I can. And what a lot of the studies and what a lot of the data indicates is obviously human attention spans are shrinking, and a lot of people who could sit down and read a book or a novel have almost lost that ability. They get right, Suzanne? I mean, they get bored, they get distracted. They're like, oh, get to the point. Why is this thing so big and heavy? I got to carry it around. You know what I mean? And your brain is plastic. So do you exactly, Lisa, what you said, you retrain yourself, and exactly what Suzanne said. It's like playing a game with yourself, but if you move the phone to the other room, or I have friends who do something really stupid. It's like they'll put it in the freezer. You know what I mean? Where it's like, not only is it off and away and hopefully not getting damaged, it's like in a Ziploc bag, but when they pick it up finally, it's cold in their hand. And there's this other sense that becomes involved in, this is weird. This is a weird thing. This is a strange thing.
Oh, maybe we
you
need
know.
to invent a phone case that's not pleasurable to hold.
I'm just saying,
Just
whatever.
saying. $1 million idea right there, Dave.
Anyhow,
Anyhow, so you can see with where we're going with this, that the book Deep Work actually, to me, is the second read, because if you're willing to put some digital boundaries in place, if you're willing to realize that social media and your phone and all these apps, that they're all competing for your attention and that they're actually shortening your attention, it makes sense to instead exercise your attention super intentionally with deep work time. So how many of you schedule your daily schedule with some quiet, deep work, whether it's journaling, reflection, morning routine, miracle morning, whatever you do? How many of you have that time in your schedule when you're not on your phone?
No, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me the greatest benefit you've received from having that time to yourself every day. And do you ever skip it?
My time is when I get out of the house. Today I'm in my office, not my home office. But when I get out and away and I take an hour and a half walk, that's how I break it up. And I don't take my phone with me. But I will bring my phone if I'm listening to a book or I'm listening to music or something like that. But it's my way of separating myself from the distractions and the noise. And and when I come back, I'm energized and I can focus a lot better. That's just me.
Same. Well, let me read you the deep work hypothesis. The ability to perform deep work is becoming increasingly rare, exactly what Dave was talking about. At exactly the same time, we are becoming increasingly valuable. So picture that, right? Deep work is becoming increasingly rare because of all of our distractions, but it's more and more valuable if you can do it in this time and this age and our economy. So as a consequence, the people who can cultivate this skill, who can turn off and turn on at will, they make it the core of their working life and they will thrive compared to constantly distracted people. So this book, Deep Work, has two goals. The first part is to convince you that deep work is really valuable. And, his other book, So Good They Can't Ignore You, excellent read as well. You don't need convincing that deep work is valuable. If you're here, you probably already know that. Yeah. But the second is to teach you how to take advantage of this reality by training your brain and transforming your workday into a place of deep work that's at the core, not constant distraction. So what would be possible every day for you if you decided what time shut down complete happens? Now, for me, work time ends between 5 and 6 p.m. And my rule is that the phone gets plugged in and the computer gets closed, and I don't open it again till the next morning. That's my shutdown complete time. So that's my time to be mom. That's time to be Suzanne. That's time to walk the dog, chores, all of that. But it's also time for this to not be attached to something digital. Sometimes it's 7 p.m. I'm not going to lie. But there is a time for it. What would be possible if you did that on a daily basis?
I'll just jump in. I think it probably would help me get to sleep quicker.
Oh,
you know?
100%.
Anyway.
Yeah, definitely fall asleep quicker. Anyone else? Anybody else willing to do it? To have a shutdown complete time?
I do that because I go for a walk every day. Well, when the weather's nice. I'm usually kind of spent by 4:30, the latest, 4:30 is usually my thing. And then Mark and I always go for a walk or a bike ride about 5:30. So I need to be kind of done by 4:30 so I can kind of transition. And I'm useless after 4:30 anyway. So there's no point in sitting at my computer trying to do other stuff. And
Right.
Because I mean, otherwise it's just busy work. I end up looking at emails and kind of just doing busy work where I go, what the heck did I just do for the last hour? And it's nothing that makes any sense. So for me, 4:30 is my time. I find also that is the time that I can kind of regroup. Like people, take it 15 minutes every hour. Yeah, I don't do that. I've tried, it doesn't work for me. But that time at 4:30 when I've kind of shut down my computer, that's kind of my home time, where, maybe it's, deep breathing, maybe it's, sometimes it's a nap, especially since COVID and this pneumonia thing. But what I have found is if I'm just useless after 4:30, so there's no point. I do one evening meeting a week. My husband and I have agreed to that. And that's one of the things that I know I've talked to you about. One a week. That's it. Because you can do something every single night. And there,
you
if
could.
You could. If it's at 7 o'clock here, that means it's 8 o'clock on the East Coast. Why do you want to be why are you working at 8 o'clock? Even if it's at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Businesses close at 5:30, most of them. So I think that we need to, for our own peace of mind, kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah. And
Denise,
go ahead, Charlie.
Denise, do you feel that if somebody's in California at 5 o'clock their time and you're on the East Coast at 8 o'clock your time, it sends the wrong message about you?
No, not really, because I feel this is these are my parameters. Like I said, I'll do it once a week, and so, maybe, so I have a standing meeting on Tuesdays from 6 to 7:30. Now, if Suzanne's doing a meeting, say the third Wednesday, I think that's when it is, I won't do that call on the Tuesday because now I've decided to do this other one. So again, if there's a call, if it's at 8 o'clock, that's fine, but it's once a week, not 2 and 3 times a week. But again, these are my parameters. I would hope that people appreciate that, they know that, this is kind of my non-negotiables.
Okay, thank you.
And I would expect, I wouldn't expect you to change your non-negotiable for me. Again, once a week is probably okay to do that. But if you do that more than that once a week, then that starts to affect and this is the name of my book, your health and happiness, because then it's always about your business and you're never really keeping to your boundaries.
Yeah.
Good.
And let's talk about the difference between actual deep work and shallow work and what that difference looks like. Deep work is defined as tasks that are performed in a state of being distraction free, which challenge your cognitive abilities, and they create new value, improve a skill, or can't be replicated by somebody else on your team. That's not a networking meeting. That's not this call. That's not scheduling social media content. That's not filming a video. That's more high level than that, isn't it? Okay, so shallow work is the opposite, right? Non-cognitively demanding, logistical style task. Who's picking up? Who's doing this? When am I going to post? Often performed while distracted or multitasking. Eek! That might be my whole entire day. So very frequently, the entrepreneurs I encounter are actually doing mostly shallow work, like 95% shallow work. And here's the thing I discovered when working remotely over the last couple years, this summer more than ever, I can get everything done that I need to do in my business in 3 hours a day. What the hell am I doing shallow work for 8 hours a day for? Crap. It's amazing what you can get done when you're working remotely and there's no laundry, no phone ringing, no extra things. Wow. 3 hours a day of focused work without distractions allowed me to work 3 hours instead of 6. Let's be kind. So what's possible if you give yourself a chance to do that? Now, let me tell you the health benefits of it, because this is the fascinating part. So it might be great for your pocketbook, might be great for your clients, might be great for your waistline, but the workout that you get for your brain, the strength that you develop by doing deep work, you're going to strengthen that attention span. You're going to increase your EQ, your emotional intelligence, because you're going to feel more centered, more grounded. You're going to reduce the amount of stress your brain is under because you're not constantly task switching. Multitasking is a myth. You're constantly switching tasks back and forth, back and forth. And then imagine the foundation that you're given your brain. Anybody notice the difference when you are distracted versus when you're really paying attention to it, the task at hand?
When I don't have as much, my day-to-day work doesn't have as much computer activity in it at this point as you all have.
Yeah.
What my day-to-day work is chores on the farm, observing the behaviors of my animals, making sure they're healthy. I have a baby that I got back from the hospital a few days ago, and she almost died. So newborn. So I'm constantly watching her while I'm out there on the farm. I love being on the farm. I find myself looking for things to do when I'm done. I'm like, it's an addiction, just the being outside with it all. So for me, letting go of that and coming inside or even opening up my computer is a stressor because I'd rather be doing the other. But what happens, I've noticed more and more, the more I started thinking of my farm as a business, the less pleasure I was getting out of it, emotional gain and pleasure. And I think that's why I resisted doing that for so long, because I noticed it was looking more like work. But at the same time, I didn't get into this arena to just breed and breed and breed and have 50 alpacas and that's, you know, and have a hobby. I need to do the selling part. So I don't know where I'm going with this.
Well, you don't want it to feel like work, right? You
Right.
still want to receive the joy from the daily tasks. So
Yeah.
how do you do that and still have it be a business?
Exactly. And I know, Suzanne, most likely that when you and I have talked on one-to-ones, you might have noticed some resistance because I don't follow up with the homework as vigilantly as I want to do. When you and I are talking, I'm like, yeah, this is a great idea. But then when we're done, yeah, it sort of falls apart. And I end up more up here in my head while I'm doing the chores and thinking, I need to get it done, that I need to do this, I need to do that. And that's a stressor. So I have to, I need to get what I need to do started and done and completed. So I think that's a little bit different. Maybe I'm afraid to get into the digital part because it's just, I'm not too talented at that. It's not intuitive for me. But at the same time, it's become I have to. I want it to be, and I want to.
Right.
So I have to
start off. That's why this conversation is awesome, because if you start off with boundaries around the digital piece of having a farm and having a store and doing that online thing, your daily work on the farm won't be with your phone in your hands, scrolling social media, looking for the latest purchase or comment or heart. It's almost like a gift, honestly. When I think about starting an entrepreneurial journey, if you start with the right habits, you never have to break the bad ones.
True. Yeah.
Awesome. Always from the positive, right, Lisa?
Right. Thank you.
Right. Last thing I want to talk a little bit about is the task switching piece of being distracted. Multitasking is a myth. If you want to learn more about that, I'm happy to share, some other resources about multitasking and what's actually happening in your brain. But what's actually going on is task switching. So whenever you switch from writing an email and you notice a notification pop up on your computer or on your phone, your brain actually stops writing the email and goes over here. And then to come back to the email requires another switch of where the pattern's going in your brain. Now imagine how many times that's happening in a minute when you're shooting off messages on social media, you're talking to 10 people at one time, you're answering emails, you're on a networking call, and what did they say, and who was that, and your brain is tired at the end of the day because of all the bandwidth it takes to switch tasks. So you get attention residue from each time you do that. So let's look at that for a second. If you task switch just 5 times and you get to that 6th time you've switched tasks, and now you're writing an email that requires maybe some touchy language or some, a touchy subject, it's a crucial conversation, or it's a sales pitch, it's a proposal, you're more likely to demonstrate poor performance on that 6th task. And why is that? It's because you've switched tasks so many times leading up to that. So if you minimize the impact of trying to multitask by staying on one thing at a time, whether it's Pomodoro method, whether it's scheduling every minute of the day, it doesn't matter which way you do it. But if you stay on that one task and finish that task before moving on to the next thing, you're more likely to do a better job at whatever you're tackling, whether it's an email, a social media post, following up with somebody, making a proposal, making a video for your business. you're more likely to do a better job. So if that's not motivation, let the health benefits of being less tired and less mentally fatigued be the benefit long term. All right, I'm going to shut up now. Any questions? Any comments? I'm here. Thank you, Dave, for the resources. That's amazing. Make sure you go over and save the chat. That's everybody's contact information. Denise, you and Deborah, you came late. Make sure you pop your LinkedIn profile in the chat so we can all make sure that we're connected. Any comments, feedback, questions? Floor's open. It's yours.
It was nice to meet you all today.
Thank you, Dave.
Such great information. And I find it to be so hard when you talk about the task switching. I think we all do it. And I think for me, I have to remind myself over and over and over again, not to do that because I do it all the time. And when you talked about the phone, I put my phone on the other side of the table. I couldn't, rather than getting up, I moved it away so I wouldn't be distracted. In the last couple of weeks that I've been here, when I walk with my brother and sister-in-law, I don't bring my phone with me. Now I bring it with me when I'm by myself because I'm afraid because I don't know my way around and I don't want to get lost. But it felt so good. I actually let myself be okay with it. And I think that's what we have to mentally prepare, or if we want to say, you know, this is really okay.
How do I say?
We can't hear you, Charlie. No, they died. Who else wanted to say something? Was that you, Deborah?
No, that thing was me. I just wanted to, how do I save the chat part? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Oh, that's okay. Go down to the bottom of the chat and you'll see 3 little dots next to the smiley face.
Oh, I see it. There it is.
And
Thank you.
click on that and you're good to go. It'll be like a text file that it'll save for you.
All right.
Okay.
Does it save, even
Can
if you come
sometimes
late,
it
does
do
it
by
save the other
phone?
stuff?
No, only from when you joined on. I think. Not positive on that. Good question, Denise.
Yeah.
Testing my
oh,
tech abilities there.
Sorry, I'm gonna look, see if I can.
Thank
find
you,
it.
Dave. I'll talk to you soon.
Hi,
Thanks
Dave.
for-
Hi, Dave.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank
Yeah.
you, Suzanne. Thanks,
Welcome.
everybody.